Welcome to the Brandinc PR Podcast, where we dive deep into the stories and strategies of today's most impactful entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professionals. Whether you're building your brand, scaling your business, or just looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Brandinc PR Podcast, where we pull back the curtain on bold brands making moves, strategic storytelling, and the power of PR to build unforgettable empires. I'm your host, Brandi Sims, PR pro and brand strategist, alongside being your guide to turning big ideas into buzzworthy moments. Today's guest is a heavy hitter, literally and figuratively. Kris Dehnert is the CEO and co-founder of Dugout Mugs, the wildly successful brand turning baseball hats into drinkware. With over $50 million in sales, a global customer base, and one of the fastest growing brand partnerships in the Major League Baseball history, Kris knows a thing or two about building credibility and driving sales. All right, and dominating your niche, because that's an important piece to this too. On top of that, he's helped elevate social brands for major names like Tim Tebow. Hey, we love Tim here. And Duck Dynasty, and now leads a loyal digital community with over 3 million followers. For Kris' story isn't just about stats and success. No. It's all about the real, raw moments behind the growth, nearly burning out chasing the dream, raising kids while running a national brand, and staying authentic through it all. Let's dive in. Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. Glad to be here.
Yes. Well, happy to have you here. All right, let's get right into it. So you've built multiple businesses, but let's take it back. What was your first taste of entrepreneurship, and how did that journey lead you to Dugout Mugs?
How far back you want to go? I always honestly go back to middle school. And I think, you got an entrepreneur bug in you, or you don't, I feel like, and some are on the fence and they can develop it. Right. So in fairness, but if we go all the way back, I remember it came from a place of, lack of money, lack of resources. When I was a kid, my mom worked her butt off, didn't have a ton. We weren't poverty or anything, but if I wanted something, I had to save up for it or beg for it or wait for my birthday for it. And I remember going into school, and in my book bag, there was not books. There was candy. There were pencils. That old game used to break the other person's pencil.
Yeah.
I had colorful wire that the girls would make little bracelets out of. And I remember coming home with $5 or $8 a day, in my book bag. And my mom's like, "What are you doing? You're up to something." I told her, and she's like, "You got to stop this." But I was a hustler. If you want something bad enough, you can make it happen, or you can make excuses about it. And I feel like that's just something, that was in me. Right. So go all the way back. But the real entrepreneur story would probably be 2008. I used to open Gold's Gyms for a great group here in Central Florida. And one day a guy walked in. He said, I was 23 and I was the GM. And he's like, "Dude, you've gone as far as you can go. You need to step aside and get, the guy's not going to give you the gym, right? You can't go any further. So you need to do your own thing." And that next week I put in my 2 weeks notice and went into real estate, just a plethora of other things we could dig into if you want. But that was really it. It was the moment, the pivot point where I realized I have to bet on me and I have to make myself wealthy. Otherwise I'm just going to make somebody else rich my whole life.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. So you really had the bug early on that you were a hustler and you were
Before I
going to
even
find
knew
a
it.
way and find an opportunity regardless of what's going on.
Yeah.
I think you're so right. And in these conversations around entrepreneurship, one of the first things that comes up is, is it something that you're just born with, or is it something that you build, or are you made into it?
Yeah.
And I do think that a little bit of it is you just got it. I don't know what it is, but you just got that thing that you just have that drive and the initiative to go. You're going to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have got it, and then just some people just simply do not have it. And it does make a big difference in how sustainable and how long your business journey is going to last and how far you're going to get with it. you need that piece. So I love that you said that.
Well, in fairness, though, I feel like that's why, and call it a plug if you want, but like that's why there are marketing companies, there are PR companies, there are branding companies, there's sales teams that you can hire. I mean, look back. I mean, I have probably over 100 podcasts online, and the one thing you'll hear me say repeatedly is reflection. You have to know what you're poor at so that you can quickly get the hell out of the way and let somebody else do it, right? Do what you do best, outsource the rest. So the sooner you can reflect on what your core competencies are, the sooner you can put other people in place. And in all honesty, that's where part of the reason Dugout's where it is now is the incredible people. And I'll shout them out. Eric kills it at the warehouse, runs the whole team. Jared, my right hand man, this kid's only 23, but he's amazing, right? Tito and Nate and Brian and like Tina and Milagros. Like I love my team so much. I go to the warehouse once a week, right? We're running we're $5-8 million a year steady, and we're doing it with like 7 people, and I don't even have to show up. This is my house. I work from home, right? So the faster you can get pros on your team, it's not what it costs you, what it makes you really, and it buys your time back.
Ooh, see, I think we need to put that on a t-shirt. Maybe that's going to be on one of the next mugs is, do your best and outsource the rest. I think that's something we can all
100%.
apply.
100%.
I'm just saying. Ooh, I
I
love that.
read one. I read one yesterday that I loved, and it said, "Wealthy people don't. They won't buy things. They'll buy their time first."
Mm,
It was much more elaborate than that, but the gist of it
yeah,
is just like, are they going to go hire a housekeeper and a lawn person because that buys them 4 hours a week back, or are they going to go buy a watch to go be more impressive? And I'm very blessed to be surrounded by,
yeah,
I don't know if the mastermind concept is something y'all talk much about, but I'm in an incredible mastermind called Board of Advisors, and in that group, I almost exclusively people talk about ideas and strategies not to make more money but to buy more time, because at the end of the day that's the only currency that is important and truly irreplaceable.
mm, mm. Well, I like that. I like that you mentioned masterminds because that's something that I'm familiar with, but our
Mhm.
audience may not be as familiar with. But it is something that's a helpful resource
Oh,
when
it's
you need to
amazing.
surround yourself with people that are just, if not more, significantly more successful than you are, that are giving you and fueling you those ideas and that, I don't know, is it lifestyle? Is it the words, the environment that you really need to get around if you really want to do more. It's kind of like that quote where it says, like, your network is your net worth. And if
One of my
everybody
favorites.
around you is failing, you're going to be that person. Or if everyone is around you that's a millionaire, you're going to be the next one. I
You
probably
never want to
cheated on
be you
that.
never want to be the smartest or the richest in the room, though.
Yes.
If you are, you're in
Yes.
the wrong room. You
Mm-hmm.
want to be kind of right in the middle, because if
Yeah.
you're helping 2 others improve and 2 others are helping you improve, it's this constant like ladder effect.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so what was the aha moment that made you realize Dugout Mugs could be more than just a novelty, but it could be a movement?
Well, about 10 years ago, I got sick. I would say prayer, right? And I got sick, and right after my daughter got born, and I ended up in the hospital, and there's about a 30% chance I wasn't walking out of there. And while I'm laying there, I was like, oh, the whole, cliche, God, get me out of this, right? And I was like, bring somebody my way that needs my effort, or my skill sets, my capacity, my talents. And I got a call out of the blue, from a guy that found me out of the blue, and he had this idea out of the blue, right? Like he had the idea a couple years prior, and he's like, "Hey man, I want to pick your brain about this thing," and it was the bat mug. So we turn baseball bat barrels and we hollow them out and turn them into really cool mugs, right? If anybody's wondering what all this stuff is behind me. So anyway, he brought me that mug, and I didn't question it. I was like, you know what? This is the guy. This is the thing that I asked for. So give it the attention it deserves. And that's a great lesson to not be so damn busy that you miss what's the gift given to you, right? Everybody's so busy being busy chasing this, and it's a distraction, right? It's a facade. So when you really, again, reflection, when you reflect on what you're about and what you're not about, where what you value and what you just don't value. Like I don't have jewel. I'm married. My ring's probably in by the sink, right? Like I don't wear
Yeah.
jewelry. I wear hats, t-shirts. Like I don't value that crap,
Yeah.
right? So when you really get clear on your values and the right things will present themselves, and you have to be the right person in the right place at the right time. And again, another cliche, but it's true. And if you're not in the proper headspace, you can't offer yourself wholly to this thing. And that's what happened with it. I met a guy named Randall. He came up with the idea, and I had a little stint. We did about 20 million, give or take, in sales selling T-shirts online, and that's when I had the big fan pages for like Duck Dynasty and Tim Tebow, Colin Kaepernick, and all this stuff, right? Anyway, so we really did well with the T-shirts, and I looked at this like this was just a blank canvas, right? Just like a T-shirt was. So when he and I, like, this is the one we made for Pete Rose when he passed away, right? Walking into the cornfield, and it's all
Yeah.
etched in there. And that's what I thought about. I was like, it's just like a canvas, just like a T-shirt. So let's just put, something. He's like, man, one day you think we could do 1 million in sales? I was like, if that's all we're shooting for, dude, we're done already. I said, I'm not doing that. But that's because I could see past it. Now, we're like $55 million in sales now, which is a wild number.
Wow.
But did I see it going that big? Not initially, but I think the aha moment was faith, right? Just having faith in what presented itself, and rather than focusing on the money, because that really isn't the important piece to us, at least in our organization and me. We need it. I'm not an idiot, right? We need it to live and breathe. But for me, it was experiential. I could play with my friends. I could do it from my home.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of fun, like a lot of fun with what I do, and it allowed me freedom of time. So I have a golf company as well, Big Golf.
Nice.
So it's just like I get to do beer and baseball. I have a cigar line: beer, baseball, golf, cigars, friends, travel. You know, it's a dream scenario. So really, the aha moment to put a bow on this. Sorry for being long winded, but
No, you're good.
the aha moment was when I realized I could collect parallel currencies. It was I could money is only a single currency. I got the time, that's currency. I got experiential living, that's a currency. I got fulfillment, that's a currency, right? So then when I realized I could do all these things simultaneously, like that's when I realized that we had something special.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like faith, was that aha moment that I think we can all relate
Certainly
to.
helped.
Faith at the end of the day, it's something that, you can't see, but that's what it is. It's faith.
Yeah.
It's
Not
having
everything's tangible.
trust in the process.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. All right, so let's talk brand strategy and sales. So
Yeah.
Dugout Mugs has generated, obviously, what you said, over $50 billion in sales, which is
Crazy.
mind blown, mind blown. So, what's been the biggest brand driver behind that success? Product, community, or was it timing?
Culture.
Ooh, okay.
Culture.
Okay.
We created a movement of sorts. Like if you see me, if I'm on stage at an Inc. 5000 event, I'm
Yeah.
wearing a hat, a t-shirt, flip flops, and shorts.
Yeah.
That's what you get out of me when I'm at
Yep.
my mastermind. And this room is packed full of the right people. I'm on stage with flops, t-shirt, shorts, and a hat. It's about being unapologetically authentic, and the community that we built, they knew who we were from the beginning, and it wasn't a facade. It wasn't BS. And I think everything we've done was with the premise of customer service, fans forward kind of, who's doing a tremendous job of it is Jesse Cole. Shout out to Jesse with the Savannah Bananas. When we were coming up about the same time he was starting to get popular, Jesse and I did a little podcast together. It was awesome. I've stayed in touch with those guys too, and they're just incredible. But their company, Fan First, or Fans First or whatever it's called. What a tremendous example. And we did a version of that, right? Like that's their thing and we're doing our thing. But I mean, we focus so hard, which it's unbelievable that this could be considered a strategy, but take care of your damn customers, right? So I remember there was one time we literally drove mugs. Randall, my old partner, we drove mugs across the state to a wedding because they wouldn't get there in time. And they needed them for like the groomsmen and stuff. Like
Yeah.
he got in the car for like 2 hours. But I think when that's our culture, that just permeates through a brand. And to date, we have over 60,000 reviews online. I
Mm,
mean, tell me another brand that
yes.
has that.
Not
Well, we
many.
sell bat mugs. We're weirdos, right? But to have that kind of response, it tells you how far being genuine and customer centric goes.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And that's something that really should resonate with more brands. I think there's not enough focus on the customer
Yeah,
centric experience, the importance of culture and authenticity, especially in days like this where you have so many different tools out. I know ChatGPT, we talk about this a lot, in that it's great, but it's just an enhancement of what you already have. It's not a replacement.
right.
So if you just go in there and you're just here, make up something for me, make this up. Guess what? That's the reason why you see most of 90% of these brands all saying the same dang thing. And that's why they're not scaling, they're not
Mhm.
growing, especially at the level that you're growing, because they haven't found and locked in to that important key piece, which is authenticity. That and listening to their customer.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
So you've worked with some iconic names: Tim Tebow, Duck Dynasty, MLB. What's the secret sauce to building and leveraging brand credibility in a obviously crowded market?
Uh, you ever read that? You guys, I'm sure, talk about books and stuff here too,
Yeah,
like
yeah. We love a good book. Yeah.
Blue Ocean Strategy. Trying to cut your niche out is obviously ideal, right? Because then there's no competition, and that's kind of the world we live in.
Mm,
However, if you're going to be like, I was in real estate, I had a restaurant in Tampa with some colleagues. I was in the cannabis space. I own a golf ball company. I've had a lot of different things. I had an apparel company. You want to talk about just absolutely saturated, right? I think what it is it's to cut through the noise. It's about being unique. And again, it's like, duh, but
yeah.
it's really, I mean, if people can do it accidentally, but if you do it intentionally and focus on it, like on a weekly basis,
Yeah.
um, one of the simple ways to do it. I mean, if people want to have some takeaways from this, one of the things I found to be extremely helpful, and this is actually how I met the Robertsons, the Duck Dynasty crew. It was Uncle Si and his family who I met,
Yeah.
was through gamification. I don't know
Mm,
if y'all discuss gamification here often, but
love
gamification is
writing.
simply a strategy of engaging with customers and people in a fun and unique way with a an ulterior motive. I know that's a bad word, but like what I would do is I would go to Amazon, I would buy autographed stuff offline, spend maybe $100, whatever,
Yeah.
and then I would go to my page and I would say, hey. Um, comment under this photo so you can come up with the best caption. Whoever gets the most likes wins this autographed photo of a duck. Like, who knows, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
But what happens is we would get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 comments under this
Yeah.
thing. But then that's where the magic happened. The gamification was we self policed it. So these people would come in and they would read through all of them, and that talk about just manipulating the algorithm, and then they
Yeah.
would click which ones they liked. So these things are moving up and down. I mean, this was an absolute
Mm,
behemoth of a post.
yeah.
And then what I would do is I go in and I retroactively edit the copy in the picture after it's been shared 10,000 times, and I put
Yeah.
the link to the website. And now you just have all this organic traffic flowing,
Yeah.
right? So I owned a social media management company, and I would always tell people post with purpose, and gamification is a great way to do that, and it's also a great way to stand out. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Post with purpose. I hope people are taking notes right now because I know that I am taking several mental notes here. So, talk to us about social proof. How did you
Yeah.
cultivate over 60,000 reviews, and what role has that played in the trust and conversions?
Ask for them. Again, duh. We got to ask, right? If you do it
So
now, if you
simple,
do a
right?
crappy job, don't ask.
Mhm.
If
That
you
part.
do a good job and you showed up when you said you're going to show up, and you did what you were supposed to do in the time frame you were supposed to do it, say, hey, Sally, how's that going out there? What'd you think? Tell us what we did right, what we did wrong. If you enjoyed yourself, leave a review. Here's 3 links to do it. Google, Amazon, or where we don't sell on Amazon, but like website, whatever, we give her the
Yeah.
links.
Yeah.
Um, I think that is, and there's some stuff out there. I'll give Yotpo a shout out, YOTPO. That's who we use on our website, and it does it all automated. I know
Mhm.
Go High Level's got some stuff like that, and there's a few other CRMs that are just killer in this regard. But to
Mhm.
automate it, and what I did that I feel has improved our response is I'm very conversational in the way I communicate with people. So like how I'm talking right now,
Yeah.
I'll do voice to text with slang and everything else in it. So when people
Yeah.
get it, it seems and feels organic.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just asking. And how does social proof? We're in Dick's and we're in Hallmark and we're in Rally House and Shields. I just did an order for Lexus earlier this week. We do Capital One and Coors and Miller, Corona, Yamava Casinos. Like, you don't just get brands like that
Nope.
behind you unless you know you have a track record and you have social proof and credibility, and there's an element to fake it till you make it. I know and that's not a strategy though, it's a tactic.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between those things, and
Mhm.
a lot of people live on the fake it till you make it, but anybody worth actually capturing can see right through it, so it's kind of a
Yeah.
double-edged sword, right? But what we did is, I remember actually there's a photo. I'm gonna turn to see if you can see it. See this photo right here?
Yeah.
So that's Ken Griffey Jr., Hall of Famer from the Seattle
Nice.
Mariners. That photo,
Wow.
and the reason I have it on my shelf as a reminder, but we were maybe 6 months old as a company, and the Pro Baseball Scouts Gala Foundation was in LA. And they ordered some mugs from us, like 30, like nothing, to put as centerpieces in the tables. And I said, well, how about, and she's like, oh, we're busy. I said, look, I'll tell you what, I'll bring extra mugs for all the recipients of awards. And she's like, we don't have anybody to give them out. It's just thank you for the offer. I was like, I'll fly out there. I'm just up the road. I'm in Florida, bro. Like, I got to go to Cali. I'm not up
Yeah.
the
So
road.
it's not up the
And I was
road
like,
necessarily by no means.
I said, I'm up the road. I'll just pop in there. I'll do
Yeah.
it for you. She's like, oh, in that case, cool. So anyway, I fly to LA,
Yeah.
and I get myself in the room, in the door to the gal, and I said, hey, I got these mugs, and they're running around like an event will. And I said, look, just show me where to go. And they pointed over there. So I walked backstage. I said, hey, here's all the trophy mugs for the recipients. And they're like, oh, come on back. So they brought me into the back where they're getting ready. They go up on stage. So 3 Hall of Famers, 4 All Stars, they're all back there just cutting it up. And I gave one of the mugs to the photographer. And again, like this, my point of this is like the world will give you what you tolerate. And if you don't tolerate anything but the best, like make sure those arms are wide open because that's what's coming. So anyway, I expected to be in that room. That's why I flew across the country. I expected to be backstage. I expected to meet these people, and I just chatted, cut it up with the photographer. Next thing you know, everybody that comes off stage is like, "Oh, here's Mr. Dehnert from Dugout Mugs. They made the trophy, this, that, and the other. Stand over here, puts this right in front of the thing, and snaps a picture in front of the whole like setup." And to have credibility like that, nobody else is gonna. I mean, he's one of the best players that's ever lived, right? And
Yes.
and so now when another player or another player or another group, it's like, oh yeah, here's an example of what we did for the Pro Baseball Scouts Gala a few weeks ago
Yeah.
in LA. And then at that point, they're like, oh, I'm just a local golf tournament. Like, obviously, they're good enough for me. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the magic of utilizing social proof and credibility. There's the governor. I'm in Florida. The governor of Florida, presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. He buys our mugs for all his events. There's certain groups that don't want nothing to do with anything Republican or Ron DeSantis, whatever. I don't even care, right? I'll show them the video of us on The View, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. My point is, I have enough now social proof and credibility that depending on what I'm trying to do, I know how to use it. And I think that mentality behind social proof and credibility is super, super important.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's impressive. And it's one of those things that, when we go back to reviews, right? You do have to just ask. And it's as simple as just an ask. And many small businesses struggle with that. And it's like, guys, you're not going to get it until you go for it.
Mhm,
Right. And you wouldn't have got those opportunities or received those opportunities until you put yourself out there to make it happen.
mhm.
But yeah, social proof in and of itself, it's a concept that I think we dance around with, and literally some people dance around with TikTok and all the other stuff and think that's enough. And it's like, no, credibility is credibility. You need to be aligning yourself with those brands and those folks that people trust. That's how you can leverage that
Well,
and push yourself right up there in the forefront. So now then when you're coming back home, right? The same thing with the local baseball team. Well, man, I got King Griffey Jr. here. Who you got? It's like, okay, well, we don't got them, but if you've got
yeah,
him, then we can definitely work with
right.
you. Big
There's an old
difference.
saying I use in our business: if your plan's better than their plan, they're going with your plan.
Hello.
Right? We see that in business, we see it in politics, we see it everywhere. If your plan's better than their plan, they're going with your plan. So if you show up, now this could be possibly the fake it till you make it tactic.
Yeah.
Here's what my plan is. I've never executed it, but here's what it looks like. Doesn't it look good? They're like, yeah, it looks like a good plan, and then you go with it, right? So just remember that you have to have a vision for most things, and sometimes people just see your vision. They're like, yeah, it makes just like what you said. He's got Griffey. We don't have any plan to get anybody like that. We're working with Uncle Frank, who played in high school, right? So
Right.
let's see what this guy can do. It
Yes.
certainly works, but now I do want to mention there's two. Like, I have a few million followers just on TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I don't like TikTok. I don't post much on TikTok. So why do I keep it? I could sell that account. I keep it because the implied social proof and credibility, and
Yes.
that in and of itself is a strategy, right?
Mhm.
So the people that matters to, I think it's ridiculous, but that doesn't matter. They think it's important. Perfect example: if I wanted to go get some affiliates to push my product to TikTok marketplace or whatever the hell they call it, TikTok shop.
Yeah.
TikTok shop affiliates aren't going to go in and look at somebody who's got 1,000 followers. Oh, these guys got 2.2 million followers, 180 million views. Let's see what they got. If it's nothing more than to open the door, sometimes that's enough.
Mhm. Ooh, I like that. Now you're spitting facts here. This is something that really, really small business owners need to hone this one in, and really just entrepreneurs in general need to hone this one in. Is that you got to tap in. You got to tap into this market. You got to tap into these areas. And I love that you said about the implied social proof of still having the account. Really, like it's not your thing, but you have the account. One thing that we really coach with our clients is that across the board, we see all these social media platforms coming up. Some of them are taking off more than others. Go ahead and create your account. Doesn't mean that you immediately need to start
Right.
posting on it, but you do need to own it because that's an important piece. Because why? People are out here selling your name, your profiles. We see it all the time
Mm-hmm.
with domain websites because you didn't renew. Now it's up for sale, and now you
Right.
don't have access to your website and your name. That happens all the time. So I think that that's such an important piece that you included in there that you need to go ahead and get that. Get your name, have it locked in, share and do as you see fit, right? But make sure that you have that implied social proof there. Make sure that you have that account there so that it does show that hey, you guys have an active presence and we are here and we're
Right.
not just some kind of fly by the wall business.
Well,
Yeah.
people make their decisions. They make their. I mean, look. People are sheep for the most part. Sorry, people, but it's the truth.
Hey, keeping it real.
If you're on Netflix and you're going to look up a movie to watch, it could be an amazing movie. But if 100 people said it wasn't, you're like, well, let's go to the next one. Or you're on Amazon and you're like, well, this one's $40, but this other one's $30. Let's spend $10 extra, 33% more because it's got more reviews, right? They don't do any due diligence. That's the extent of their due diligence. So again, I call it getting dressed before you go to the party. Just got to get dressed. Sometimes, it's just what it is, and that's the implied from a practical use standpoint though. Understanding the demographic. One of the first questions I ask you is who's the demo, right? Because it matters, and to understand that it is like the number one buyer for my product historically is a 42-year-old woman, right? I need to know that so that when I get an option to be on The View or Rachel Ray or Oprah's Favorite Things or Fox and Friends, right? Like I need to know who my demo is, and to understand the demo for these social media platforms is pretty important too. And if you have a product that makes overly priced dried flowers for whatever, you probably ought to be on certain platforms. I don't think Twitter's going to be your go. I think it's more Facebook. It's going to be more Instagram. It's going to be more Google ads. So just understanding the demo, do yourself a favor, spend an extra few hours understanding, and how we talk on each of these platforms is also very important based on the demo. So that's worth spending some time on before you go blindly throwing dollars at things.
There you go. We don't want to be doing that,
No.
especially if you're a new business that's starting out.
Yeah, you're limited.
That. Swiping out that money. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk leadership. So you've mentioned that chasing success nearly killed you. What did burnout teach you, and what's different about how you lead today?
I am more transparent. I feel as if if you're building a business worth having, it's bigger than you are anyway. So trying to bear it all, carry it all, is foolish, and it's dangerous. We just came off of Mental Health Awareness Month last month, and I did 4 or 5 lives to our socials with players who share, there some pretty traumatic things and how they deal with them, and how they're, have mental health coaching and mental health, mental fitness and just things like that. In business, if you are the main gear in a business, that's dangerous, right? If I walk out, I'm going to the Bahamas in a couple of days. We're going for a few days, taking the family, hanging out. We're not going to skip a beat because I'm not, I created create a system you're not a component of. Yeah. Will it work better, faster? If I'm there, am I the jet fuel that you can put in the car, or is it going to run fine with gasoline for a minute, right? Kind of thing. And that's, so creating that, but then the transparency is the other real big stand outside of the, blah, blah stuff you can find on Google. But like for me, I would say transparency and sharing the burden and sharing the hard times and sharing the good times with the team. They're not applying pressure to me when we're going through a hiccup, because they're aware of it. They're part of it. The ownership of the problems and the ownership of the situations can be shared. So don't try to shoulder it all. You're actually not that good. And that was something I dealt with a previous partner. It's like try to handle everything and carry everything. It's just like, dude, just stop. Again, this is bigger than we are. But yeah, that I think those two stand out. And create a system you're not a component of. Man, that's special. When you really get to the point in life where you realize, you have what do they say, 12 summers at best, yes. 10 spring breaks at best. And you really realize how I was actually thinking about it last night, ironically.
Yeah.
Um, when you realize how little time you have to
Mhm.
start building around that, and to get your priorities are effed. Okay,
Yeah.
uneff yourself, and get your priorities in line and reflect on what's important to you and what's not important to you. And I think that now that's a hard number one for me, right? To really reflect and understand what's important, what's not important, what I stand for, what I don't stand for, what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, right? And
Yeah.
then you're cutting it right down the middle, and then you just get skinnier from there. Yeah, stop doing crap you suck at with people you don't like. Time short. All the things. It just you start just functioning that way. It just kind of aligns. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'll get rid of burnout real quick.
Hello. I know that's right. So raising two kids, right? And I can definitely relate to you on that one. My regrets are they're something else, but those are my Sour Patch Kids and I love them.
Mhm.
Okay. So, but raising two kids while scaling a national brand is no joke. How do you balance being both present at home and staying driven in your business?
Well, the home's first. I
Yes.
went bowling with my
Priority.
kids yesterday. When I get done chatting with you here, I'm gonna take them bowling again, and go get a haircut. Maybe stop by the arcade. But it's
Yeah.
like when you realize that uh, being the visionary, being the decision maker,
Yes.
being a key component, if you only do the things you're good at. Now, again, it takes time to get there. I'm not an idiot, right? I understand that sometimes that takes time to develop, but you have to build something to where you're going. Don't build it for where you're at, because you're not wanting to stay where you're at, right?
No.
You got to, if you're going to have a family, if you see in your head so clearly that I'm going to have a family of five, me and my husband and three kids, let's say, you're not going to go all out on this 2 bedroom. You're going to start building the 5 bedroom, right? And again, like you have to build the house in which you're going to live in. So I think keeping that in sight is important. And you don't build a house overnight, right? But I think that right there was a lot of how we did it. Why our warehouse is located here in Central Florida, right up the street from where I live, because I wanted to be close to home. I will work from a home office. That's my thing. Back before it was cool, pre-COVID. I've been working from home for a long, long time, and I like it, and I'm good at it. So I think it's about um, building a lifestyle by design, and understanding how special that is what's allowed me to not. Now, there's plenty of times where I'll stay up till 12, 1 o'clock at night, jamming through emails or whatever. But I didn't miss a recital in 8 years. I don't miss a daddy daughter dance yet.
Mm.
I was on Fox and Friends live in New York City. They flew me up there to go live in the city, and they're like, I need you. They called me. It was Saturday morning, and they called and they said, "Hey, can you be to the studio tomorrow at 8?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And they're like, "We're gonna put you live. How far outside of the city do you live?" I was like, "Oh, a few thousand miles, I guess. I don't know. I'm in Florida." And they're like, "Oh, okay." I said, "No, I'll make it work." So I talked to my daughter, and we had a daddy daughter dance that afternoon. And I called him back. I said, "If I can do the dance, leave there, go straight to the airport, get picked up, crash at my buddy's house, wake up, y'all pick me up with the car, I'll
Yeah.
do it." And it worked out, and I did it, and I was live.
There you go.
And it's just about sticking to your guns when you create a hierarchy of importance, and really understanding again what's important. And then actually the decisions are pretty easy.
Yeah.
If it's either, if this is the direction I'm going, and somebody's like, "Hey, you want to go over here?" It's like, "No, I'm over here." The no's are easy, and that's what you got to really get good at as an entrepreneur, especially a good one. Like, I'm good enough to get a lot of things done. Okay, so that's tempting. It's that shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Uh, just being really clear on what your no's are. You get better at no, you're gonna be a lot happier.
Okay, here we go. Now I love that one too. So what's been your biggest failure or misstep in branding or PR and how did you bounce back from it?
The biggest mistake, yeah, I believe you're either winning or learning, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know about I don't really reflect on my mistakes too long, honestly. And Dugout, I don't even know.
Well, you hear so
Honestly, I
often,
don't
this is why I
know.
asked. We hear so often where a brand is doing super, super well, got their messaging down packed, PR is great, and then they align themselves with a an influencer, for example, that it's not a good fit. Like I don't know why I'm immediately thinking of, I think it was Budweiser when they had
Yeah.
partnered with the influencer Dylan. And for folks that are unaware, Dylan is a trans activist, um, and very popular influencer within the space. And it was kind of surprising when, I think it was, I want to say it was Budweiser, it could have been Bud Light, somewhere along those lines. But when she partnered with them, it was definitely awkward. It was awkward. It was very misplaced just because of the style of Budweiser. It didn't really make sense. It was equivalent to having Mean Girls on there or having a super preppy brand partner with a Budweiser. It's not really the same vibe, right?
Mhm.
You would immediately think, when you're thinking certain audiences, okay, this is going to be your seltzer audience, or this is going to be your
Yeah.
spritzer audience,
Yeah.
and then this is going to be your coolers and that type of audience, and then you've got your beer drinkers, and then there's levels to that. And so I definitely thought at that time that it was absolutely a failure, and we saw as well, just kind of what the response afterwards was, a huge failure. Someone was fired from that, is how bad it was. But that's kind of one of the things that immediately come to my mind when I think of those missteps and those failures in branding, because really the team should have flagged that from the beginning. Just because you have a popular influencer doesn't mean that that matches with your brand or that it's the right audience for your brand. So that's where my
Yeah.
headspace
So,
that
so
question.
from the very beginning, I am unapologetically authentic,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So I know where I stand. I know where my team knows where I stand. We're very transparent. And I think because of that, the people who are interested in collaborating. But again, I've been personally live on Fox and Friends. Ron
Yeah.
DeSantis buys my stuff. I've been on The View. I've been on ABC World News Tonight with David Muir. I've been on CNN,
Yeah.
ABC, CBS, The Today Show, Good Morning America. Right? It's the spectrum. Right? And even even on the stuff I wrote, I was in a magazine that had Trump on the cover.
Yeah.
Right? But in there, it's like we love, support, respect baseball fans. Baseball transcends everything to us,
Yeah.
period. Right. And like, we've been really clear about that. And I think what it is when some of these companies, I think it's disingenuous. I'm this all year, but then on whatever, June 1, everything's a rainbow.
Yeah.
It's like, bro,
Yeah.
that's okay. Like, I don't care,
Yeah.
but it's not genuine.
It's performative.
It's a
It's performative.
performance. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
act. And
Yeah.
if you have to act to get respect, and if you have to act to get business, maybe that's not the business you need. And it's okay. I think when people try to be everything to everybody is when they slip.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's it. When you
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
trying to be something you're not for money.
Mm-hmm.
What a and I actually I have a love-hate relationship with money, right?
Yeah.
I love it because all the amazing things it allows me to do. But I feel like money is one of the most common things in the world. It's actually not hard to get,
Yeah.
right? You don't even own it. You just have a turn with it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's yours for a little bit and that's gone. And it's a true currency. It just flows and flows.
Yeah.
And hell, it's not even attached to anything. They just print more of it. Like, whatever, we'll just make more, right? So to ever make that your north star, your guiding light, something so common that doesn't really have a ton of value compared to these other currencies, maybe
Yeah.
that's just my opinion, is foolish to jeopardize the entire brand and company based on that. It's a tough call. We don't make that call, right? And we've never run into anything like that. I got a little pushback because, a bunch of people get triggered. Oh, it's only in Fox. I'm never buying here again. I'm burning my mug. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, bro, do you? And then someone's like, oh, I saw your clip on The View. I'm like, look, dude, fine, bye.
Okay.
Right. And then what happens is 90% of the people cheer you on because you're not buying into this baiting and this trigger culture.
The bait and
We're not.
switch.
We got stuff to do. I'm not busy messing around with that.
There you go. And see that you just reinforce just what we've kind of been talking about this entire thing about the importance of authenticity and
Mhm.
really, really honing in and tightening up that strategic vision that you have, because all this other stuff will bounce right off if you're very clear on your why and what you're here to do. All that other stuff is extra. So yeah, that is pretty impressive too. Okay. So, with such a loyal customer base, right? And we're talking about big picture and growth. With such a loyal customer base and millions of followers, how do you continue to keep things fresh, keep it innovative, keep it relevant to your fan base?
Well, it's a two-part question. I think the first answer is it's a big world out there. There's a lot of people that don't know about us. I still go to farmers markets with my daughter. One, I love watching her hustle, and I'm teaching her. You ever watch an owl jump out of a
Hey,
tree and like teach the kid how to dive bomb? That's what I'm doing.
yes.
My daughter's 10 and she's dangerous, right? So I'll
Mhm.
take her out to these like farmers markets, and I
Yeah.
sit back. I'm like, you do it, baby. See what you got. And she's talking to people, making money, selling this, that, the other. Right. So, but it's amazing to me. The point of that is 7 or 8 out of 10 people have never even heard of us, which means we have so far to go. So that's amazing. So I can continue to take our flagship namesake products and drive them. But I also realize that, we have over 1 million customers on our email and SMS list. So things like baseball ornaments, right?
Yeah.
Now that we just print on them and make baseball ornaments.
Nice.
We just launched home plate coasters. Right.
Okay. Yes.
Um, I can't show you that one because I'm in the middle of patenting that one. But uh, half baseballs turned into bottle openers, right? So
Ooh,
uh,
okay.
if somebody knows you, likes you, trusts you, it can go a long way. And that's actually our number one strategy is LTV. Pick your acronym, but LTV, lifetime value. How do I get somebody to purchase? How soon can I get them to repurchase? And how long will they continue that cycle? And we do that through strategies called tripwires or loss leaders, free plus shipping, kind of stuff, bundling. Buy this $50 mug and get a $50 gift. And they're like, all right, well, okay, I'm in. Right. But the whole idea is how do you get that customer in your ecosystem? How well can you treat them so that they'll immediately rebuy? And then the lifetime value of that customer. So we're constantly innovating. Um, Again, we're just baseball. I also own a golf company, right? So we started, turning, I don't have any with me right here, but golf balls into bottle openers, golf balls into cigar holders,
Yeah.
this novelty market. So we're kind of diversifying into other areas, and with the loyal following that we've created, it's also easy to test product. So we reach out to somebody and say, hey, I got this new thing. What do you guys think? I got this new baseball ornament. What do you guys think about that? We'd be interested. How many would you buy if you bought them? Right. And just literally having a conversation and getting real time feedback and then they take ownership in the decisions you're making as a company, and then they get right behind it and buy and support. So that's kind of the strategy we're neck deep in right now.
Yeah, yeah. So once again, knowing your customer base and really, really tightening and honing into that is
Yeah.
how you can really excel and start to expand into areas you probably would have never thought that, listen, from a mug to now we've got bottle openers, we've got coasters, we've got all these different things just adding to and growing.
Hmm.
All of this started with the vision. So yeah, yeah.
Well, and
Definitely important.
and 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 realizing it doesn't matter what you think.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
arrogance of owners and founders and entrepreneurs is astounding. I had a previous partner, and well, I think this, and I'm like, bro, it does not matter what you think or what I think. It matters what they think. So
Mhm.
let's ask, shut up, and listen with the intent to hear what they're saying. And the sooner you get to do that, go to Survey Monkey, go to poll people, do a live chat, let people beat you up, and then listen. Right? Like if you ask, there's no shortage of opinions right now online, for God's sake.
True.
So get on and ask for some, and ask people feedback on you, what you're doing, what you're making, what you're providing, what you're creating, and then listen. I think it'd go a long way.
Hey, no nonsense advice from Kris. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so what's next for Kris Dehnert? Are there any upcoming projects, brand pivots, or passion plays we should be having on our radar?
Big golf is something that I just been kind of sitting on for a minute.
Yeah.
It's it's a golf ball. I have a golf ball brand because I golf, and it's like, oh, okay, I could write that off. So I have a golf ball line, but it's a really good ball, right? It's USGA approved, so that's pretty cool. But we make a couple novelty products. We have golf ball bottle openers, golf ball cigar holders, things like that. So I think in the next 12 to 18 months, that's going to really start to see some traction. As far as Dugout goes, getting we have sold internationally already, but doing it on a more consistent basis, potentially Canada. I know Puerto Rico, the Dominican, Japan. There's some big baseball markets, so I'm going to continue to iron those things out. I think that's a big thing. But as far as me, what's on the on the horizon for me, I got a 5 and a 10-year-old. I'm gonna keep being an awesome dad, doing fun stuff, and teaching them how to enjoy this world for the little bit of time they're here. That's honestly, see, the legacy question is something that gets asked in a lot of big visionary groups and things. So what's your legacy? It's like, to who? I don't care if a bunch of people that don't know me idolize me. That doesn't mean nothing to me. If I can put some ripples into the world and make it a better place, which I do every day, and I can be grateful for the things that I got, because that prevents them from going away, and I can teach these kids how to be better contributors to society, not get sucked into all this,
The hubbub.
call it what you want, right? Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, you're only here for a minute. Like, don't. I always tell people the advice to these young kids, man, because everybody, they'll put up a post on social. It doesn't have 50 likes in the first hour. They delete it. They're that concerned, right?
Yeah.
Stop doing things with people who suck. Like, period.
Period. And there you have it. Woo, what a ride, Kris. Thank you for bringing your energy, honesty, and deep insights to the Brandinc PR podcast. Appreciate you so much. How can people get in contact with you if they want to get connected? I know placing an order right now for Father's Day is kind of pushing it, but
Yeah. Well, I will advise a good gift a couple days late is better than a really crappy gift on time. Remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, dugoutmugs.com and biggolf.com. There's some cool stuff. I mean, I don't put my name on anything that's not quality. So there's those things. As far as business wise, LinkedIn, all my other stuff is private. I've had these branding experts and people like, oh my God, why is your stuff private? It's because I don't want to talk to you. Right. Like, it's fine. It's okay. Well, they say, that hustle in silence. Don't tell people when you're buying the land or buying the house or making moves. It's like, I'm not trying to impress anybody, and I'm not trying to impress upon anybody. Like, I do me, and you love me or hate me, and that's cool. Publicly, you can find me on LinkedIn if you have something to talk about. Or if you want to follow, I do posts. I do like Mindset Monday stuff, and I share my journey raw, because that's just my style. Love me or hate me, it's cool either way.
It's cool either way. That's what
Yeah,
I'm talking
cool either
about,
way.
Kris. Well, to our listeners, whether you're a founder trying to break through, a marketeer chasing credibility, or a parent that's juggling big dreams and bedtime routines, this conversation is a reminder that success is built with vision, with resilience, and a whole lot of hustle. Okay, if you love today's episode, make sure to connect with Kris at dugoutmugs.com. And don't forget to follow Brandinc PR for more episodes that blend branding brilliance with real world grit. Until next time, stay bold, stay seen, and stay building.
Cheers.